Kanye West is back on Twitter, and as expected, it's a complete disaster. If you've been following Ye over the years, you already know the cycle. He disappears for a bit, starts teasing an album, and then jumps back onto social media with a series of chaotic takes to get everyone talking. This time, though, it might be his most reckless spiral yet. Within just 24 hours, Kanye has managed to defend Diddy, yes, that Diddy, claim he's a Nazi, take shots at Virgil Abloh after his passing, and double down on some of the wildest statements he's ever made. It all started with a simple yet controversial tweet: "Free Puff." At first glance, it seemed like Ye was just being Ye, saying something outrageous for the sake of attention. But when he followed it up by directly tagging Donald Trump, begging him to free his brother Puff, it became clear this wasn't just a random outburst. This was a full-scale meltdown. Kanye, the same guy who just a year ago was calling Diddy a fed and refusing to meet with him, was now leading the charge for his release despite the mountain of allegations against him. For context, Diddy isn't just facing some light legal trouble. He's accused of orchestrating sex trafficking, drugging women, engaging in violent assaults, and even abusing minors. There's actual footage of him brutally attacking Cassie Ventura. This isn't a case of innocent until proven guilty in the public eye. Diddy is cooked. And yet here's Kanye, one of the most influential figures in hip-hop history, using his platform to advocate for him. It's beyond reckless. It's outright disturbing. If that wasn't bad enough, Ye didn't just tweet his support for Diddy. He turned it into a business move. In the middle of his Twitter rampage, Kanye launched a Sean John x Yeezy clothing collab on his website, selling free Puff t-shirts for $20. But here's where it gets even crazier. He promised that 50% of the proceeds would go directly to Diddy's family. Yes, Ye is actively trying to financially support a man facing some of the most horrifying accusations imaginable. And this is classic Kanye. Every time he's about to drop something, an album, a shoe, a clothing line, he manufactures controversy to stir up engagement. It's a pattern we've seen before, whether it was his bizarre 2020 presidential run, the slavery was a choice moment, or his infamous anti-Semitic rants that got him dropped from nearly every major partnership. The difference this time, it's not just political or religious shock value. He's now aligning himself with actual predators and criminals. This also isn't the first time Kanye has used merch drops to align himself with problematic figures. Back when he was running around with white nationalist Nick Fuentes and claiming he loved Hitler, he was also pushing Yeezy products. And yet, despite the backlash, people still buy in. He's cultivated an army of die-hard defenders who refuse to hold him accountable no matter how reckless or harmful his actions become. Just when it seemed like Kanye had hit rock bottom, he kept digging. He decided to double down on the anti-Semitism that got him dropped from Adidas, Balenciaga, and countless other deals in 2022. He straight up tweeted, "I am a Nazi." No metaphors, no misinterpretations. He wrote it out clearly, knowing exactly what kind of backlash it would bring. And if you thought that was bad, he followed it up with another tweet saying Hitler was so fresh. Yes, you read that correctly. Kanye West, the same guy who once made Jesus Walks and built an entire era of music on uplifting black culture, is now out here praising one of history's most evil figures like he's talking about a sneaker drop. At this point, it's not even about cancel culture success. It's about basic human decency. No amount of genius level artistry can justify actively praising one of history's worst monsters. And yet his remaining fan base continues to find ways to excuse this, claiming he's just being misunderstood or provocative. But there's nothing thought-provoking about platforming Nazi ideology. It's dangerous, it's irresponsible, and it's outright disgusting. One of the most frustrating parts of Kanye's public breakdowns is how he constantly positions himself as some kind of free thinker, a rebel against the system. He loves to paint himself as this misunderstood genius fighting against oppression, censorship, and groupthink. But when you really break it down, none of it makes sense. His so-called rebellion is pure hypocrisy. Let's start with the obvious contradiction. Kanye claims to be anti-industry, yet he's constantly begging for industry approval. He rants about being blackballed, yet still submits his music for awards. He calls out corporations, yet still collaborates with major brands when it suits him. And now, after everything he said about Diddy in the past, exposing their shady business dealings, calling him a fed, refusing to trust him, he's suddenly free puff? It's like Kanye just picks and chooses whatever stance makes him look like the victim in the moment. Then there's the fact that Kanye loves to weaponize his fan base under the guise of being a truth teller. He wants his supporters to believe he's giving them the real, that he's the only one willing to say the things they don't want you to hear. But in reality, Kanye's just doing the same thing he accuses the media of, spreading narratives to serve his own interests. He'll claim he's fighting against the elite while promoting a clothing line. He'll denounce the music industry, but only when it stops benefiting him. And worst of all, he preaches loyalty to his fans, yet constantly sells them out for a quick cash grab. At some point, people have to wake up and realize Kanye's revolution is nothing more than a marketing strategy. As if Kanye hadn't already alienated most of the industry, he took it a step further by throwing shots at Virgil Abloh, his former friend and collaborator who tragically passed away from cancer. Ye tweeted, "F Virgil." Just a few years ago, Kanye was flying to France to embrace Virgil at his Louis Vuitton debut. Now he's publicly dissing a dead man who can't even defend himself. The levels of disrespect here are unreal. Virgil helped shape modern fashion, blending streetwear and high-end couture in a way that paved the path for countless young designers. Even when Kanye was spiraling, Virgil remained one of his biggest supporters, and now for absolutely no reason, Ye decides to take a posthumous shot at him. This wasn't just unnecessary, it was downright evil. To make matters worse, this comes after Ye used Virgil's legacy to make money. He's referenced him in music, fashion, and interviews to maintain credibility, and now when it's convenient, he disrespects him like he never mattered. It's a new low, even for Kanye. At this point, it's impossible to ignore the real reason behind Kanye's latest meltdown. Kendrick Lamar is dominating the cultural conversation, and Kanye cannot stand it. Over the past week, Kendrick has been at the center of hip-hop's biggest moment, obliterating Drake in their high-stakes rap battle and receiving widespread praise for his artistry. Meanwhile, Kanye, once the go-to name for industry-shaking moments, has been reduced to throwing tantrums on Twitter. It's no secret that Kanye has always had a deep need to be the center of attention, whether it was interrupting Taylor Swift at the VMAs, calling out Beyonce and Jay-Z, or his past presidential run. Ye has always thrived off spectacle. But this time, the industry has moved on without him. While Kendrick is getting actual praise for his talent, Kanye is trending for shock value. It's a stark contrast. One artist is being rewarded for making art, while the other is desperately stirring up controversy just to stay in the conversation. And let's be real, Kanye wishes this was his moment. He wishes he was the one dismantling Drake. He was the one winning Grammys for diss tracks. He was the one being hailed as hip-hop's most dangerous MC. Instead, he's on the sidelines, ranting about Nazis, selling free puff merch, and begging for any kind of relevance. The timing isn't a coincidence. Ye saw Kendrick steal the spotlight, and rather than respond with music, he chose the only path he knows now, self-destruction. So what happens now? Honestly, probably nothing. If we've learned anything about Kanye West, it's that there are no real consequences for him. He can say whatever he wants, align himself with predators, and disrespect people who actually made a positive impact, and he'll still have people buying his albums, streaming his music, and rocking his sneakers. But make no mistake, his legacy is in free fall. The Kanye West who made Graduation, who produced game-changing beats, who was once hailed as one of the greatest artists of our generation, that Kanye is dead. The version of Kanye we have now is a man so desperate for attention that he'll endorse Nazis, align with criminals, and disrespect the dead just to stay relevant. At this rate, it's only a matter of time before Kanye fully alienates himself from the industry. Yes, he still has fans. Yes, he still has money, but the respect, the admiration, the influence he once had, it's disappearing fast. And soon even the die-hard supporters will have to ask themselves, is this really the hill we're willing to die on? For now, though, Kanye will continue to tweet through it. he'll continue to say things designed to get a reaction. And unfortunately, the cycle will continue until either the industry finally cuts him off completely or he finally crashes out for good. Either way, Kanye West is no longer the cultural icon he once was. He's a sideshow, a former legend turned cautionary tale. And if this latest meltdown proves anything, it's that he's too far gone to ever come back.